Hi guys, today a topic, we're going to take a look at some of the new features on the Nikon D810. Now if we look at the exterior of the D810, it's still very similar to the D800 and D800E. They moved a couple of buttons around, changed the design of some, like the buttons at the back right here, and they've moved our light meter selection switch now to the top on the command dial here. You have to press it down and adjust it with the command dial at the back. And also a feature we think is really nice is that they've split the rubber covers on the side into 3 separate ones for our mic inputs, USB inputs and HDMI inputs, which is quite handy. The camera still features a 36.6 megapixel sensor, but on this camera they've removed the anti-aliasing filter completely, not like on the D800E where they've just cancelled out the function of it. So it's a really nice camera, still sharp, stills wise, not a big difference compared to the D800, D800E, but video wise it packs way more of a punch than both its predecessors. Now let's have a quick look at some of the stills features that they've improved on the camera. Probably the most important one is we now have an option to shoot in small RAWs. So if we use the camera menus and navigate to the NEF or RAW recording options, in here we can shoot either large RAWs, full 36 megapixel, or we can shoot in small RAWs, that's basically a quarter of the big file size, at 9 megapixels, which is really handy if we want RAW capability, but we don't need the massive files. Nikon has also tinkered a little bit with the autofocus system on the camera, and we now have a group area focus mode, where 4 points are activated around the autofocus point to keep track of moving subjects. Now the mirror and shutter mechanisms have also been optimized and improved to help dampen any kind of vibration inside the camera when a shot is taken, in order to help give us more clear shots. To activate it, you have to use it in mirror up mode. Go into the menu functions. Under shooting display we have an option for electronic front curtain shutter. I have to make sure that's enabled, and then we take a shot, the mirror gets lifted up with the first press of the button, and then it's supposed to give us a slightly more stable shot. A feature that seems to work really well. On the D810 we also have a new button at the back, the I button. If we press this we can access a couple of quick menu options for the mode we're shooting in, whether that be on camera or in video mode. And if we hit live view, press I, we have an option to change the image area, active de-lighting. We can switch the electronic front curtain shutter on and off here, and then down here we have a new split screen display zoom. If we activate that, it zooms in for us on the viewfinder in the 2 corners, so that we can inspect the 2 corners independently to see, well, if the shot is nice and straight, and just to double check corner details. Quite a quirky little feature. The D810 features a new highlight weighted metering option that allows us to expose for critical highlight details under tricky lighting conditions, such as stage shows where we have spotlights shining down on people. Now we can see up there that the icon for it looks very similar to normal spot metering, except that it's got a little asterisk next to it. And to see the effect of it, you'll just flick over to movie mode, hit live view, and quickly cycle through the light meter modes. At the moment the camera is set to aperture priority, and as you can see the brightness in the scene changes as I change the light meter mode. So that's normal matrix metering, that's highlight priority. Quite a handy feature to use when shooting under tricky conditions. Now the D810 features a lot of new video functions. It's going to activate live view in video mode, and press the I button, and under here we now have handy little shortcuts to some of these features. And if we look at frame size and frame rates, we now on this camera have the option to shoot at 50 frames per second at full HD, that's 1080p, or even 60 frames per second. Really handy feature. They've beefed up the audio capabilities as well, and we now have a frequency response menu in here, so we can decide if we want to shoot a wide frequency of audio or one that's more toned down for voice. That's if you're shooting in more tricky situations again. Really handy. And we've got a wind noise reduction feature for the built-in mics. And by the way, the D810 now also features a stereo built-in mic. A very handy feature we also have in here is a zebra filter or highlight display. We have that activated and we switch the camera to manual mode. We'll actually start to see the zebra stripes coming in to areas that are actually overexposed. So that is really handy when filming, so we can keep a tab on our highlight detail. The ISO function on this camera also had quite a little bit of an overhaul, and of course we can step up to crazy high ISO ratings with very little noise coming in. But more interesting for me is we can step it all the way down to the equivalent of an ISO of 32. Now that's really great to use for landscape photography. If we want to have the long shutter speeds, we want to dim down bright environments, or even for video work when we're shooting in bright conditions, just watch out at ISO of 32 we lose a little bit of dynamic range and it's really contrasty, but still great feature. Now a really handy video feature that they've built into this camera is a power aperture feature, and with that we can use the preview button, the function button on the front of the camera, to actually change the aperture electronically while filming. Now to set up this really handy feature, all we need to do is go into the menu options, scroll all the way down to the movie functions, and in here we have assign preview button, and we just have to select power aperture for close, and there we go. Exit the menu, activate live view, and now you'll see the aperture change as I fiddle with the buttons in the front of the camera. It's going to flick it over to manual mode so we can see it more clearly. There we go, aperture closing down, aperture opening up. And it actually gives a really smooth transition, especially in manual mode, between our apertures. And this is really handy because it effectively gives us a writable iris with certain selected Nikon lenses. Great handy feature. Now an option that a lot of people always wanted on a digital camera was to be able to change the colors or calibrate the colors of the LCD screen, and now with the new LCD screens on the Nikons they actually allow us to do this, and under the menu options we have a monitor color balance option now, and in here we can fiddle with the colors of the monitor and actually adjust it or calibrate it for the way we shoot. That's also a great new feature. So all these small little changes on the new D810 has made it a really well-rounded machine, especially for video use. Definitely worth upgrading to, or definitely worth a second look if you're after a HDSLR camera in the market.